Hello and welcome to the TikTok Time Traveler case closed. I thought I was done, but it pulled me back in. I know. I promised that I wouldn't be making this a series, or better yet, any more videos about this topic from last week. I fully intended to keep with this plan, since I literally have pretty much zero interest in TikTok videos. However, this all changed when I started reviewing my comments from that video, and I knew I had to mention something about it. I was extremely impressed with your comments that involved theories and suggestions about the topic and how it was done. Many of these ideas are things that I completely missed or didn't take into consideration. So armed with this information, I am confident that by the conclusion of this video, we will have pieced together enough of the story to thoroughly close this topic for good. I must say that you truly are the best audience on YouTube and have proven once again how awesome you are at critical thinking. I won't go into the full story again, since it was just so recently talked about. However, for any new viewers, I'll give you a very brief recap, but I highly suggest you watch last week's video first. The subject of our story is a man simply going by the name of Javier on the TikTok channel called Único Superviviente, or Lone Survivor. This man claims to have been part of an unknown experiment and awoke in a hospital in the year 2027, where there is no sign of any other life, including animals. So, that is about as far as I want to go into describing it all again. There are a few things that I want to wrap up from last week's video. The first thing is that I mentioned that I wasn't aware of anyone making videos debunking this, but apparently I was wrong. A viewer named Nani told me that the channel called The World of Mr. Gray has apparently talked about this in a video of his. Also, Helen Davis told me about a channel called Exposed with Richdebunks, who has made a few videos about this topic as well. Of course, I'll include links to their channels in the description. Be sure to tell them I said hi if you happen to stop by. Just kidding. The other thing is that I found it hard to believe that actions in the future could affect events in the past. From my point of view, time is linear, unless you involve wormholes and the like. However, this opens up an entirely different type of discussion. Yet, viewers named Gene Stewart and Timothy Collins inform me that there are cases that can involve a double-slit phenomenon, in which the future has been seen affecting the past based on the studies of photons. I am honestly not aware of this research, but I am very interested in looking into it. Even as such, I don't think this is advanced enough to send keychains and paintings across different dimensions. Either way, I greatly appreciate the information. Okay, now we can delve into the ideas that you mentioned. Within his videos, he provides upload after upload where he shows streets that should be packed with people and tourists, but yet they are empty. In my previous video, I explained that there are programs out there that can remove people from a video. Also, within my comment section, I saw a lot of you agreeing with that idea, and even saying that it may have even been an app that can do it as well. Granted, these programs have their limitations, and it is uncertain if entire groups of people can be edited out seamlessly. Of course, we saw where editing was obviously done due to odd pixelization and general waviness of many of his street views. This is where I saw many of you comment, such as, and I hope I get this right, Taratha the 77 Wookie, Adventure Media, Isabet, Stephen Curtis, and Tweedle, all suggesting that his videos were simply produced during the lockdown that many of us are aware of. This idea was even mentioned a few times within his own comment section as a way to debunk him. At first, I wasn't sure that this was the case, since during lockdowns around here, you still saw people walking about. Maybe not in great amounts, but there still were a few. I also would have assumed that if the entire city was banned from walking the streets, then it would mean that he would be affected as well. With how many videos he has uploaded, it surely meant he was walking around a lot. This is where Isabet reminded me that Spain was hit with the virus extremely hard, and this would make people take it all extremely seriously. Although this did still fit with my theory that there still could be people, but being they would be few and far between, it would be easier to avoid recording them or simply editing them out. I mean, this is Spain in peak tourist season. That would be tough to edit, even with the best software out there. My issue with the lockdown idea is that he is still uploading videos to this day. With rules becoming more lenient, I assume more people are out and about. Obviously, he could have recorded all his videos in one lump sum during that time period and is simply releasing them as if they were current. However, it was at that moment that I started to realize that my theory of him working with a group was more enforced. I'll get to this point in a second, but suffice it to say that I'm under the impression that there isn't just one person making videos for Javier. Even with my video, I had a few segments that left me really confused, and without a good answer. There are uploads of him walking in an employees-only area of a zoo, in football stadiums, in fancy car dealerships, in museums, and entering the gate of a police station and getting into a car. While I stated he may have been rich or basically a celebrity and had access to these things, that still didn't answer the question fully. Probably the biggest sticking point for me was a video that I didn't show you, where he enters a pharmacy, goes behind the counter, and starts rummaging around in the drawers containing controlled medications. The police station video was hard enough to explain, but it could be possible. Yet, I find it unlikely that even the most famous of persons will be allowed to have free access to a pharmacy. This is where I started to think about Javier always having the keys for these locations, and the fact that he is always seen with his face completely covered. I found it rather unlikely that this man would randomly find all the keys he needed to enter these places. This wouldn't make sense unless this truly is a video from an upcoming Resident Evil film, where if you played those games, you know that picking up random keys is important and necessary if you want to progress, much like viewers named Ken Batter and Nyctophoria mentioned. As much as I have a love-hate relationship with the idea of Occam's razor, I think it fits very nicely here. Just so it is said, I feel the theory can oversimplify topics at times. Anyway, viewers named Lucy Cannon and the artist mostly referred to as Holder 539 suggested that he could have been a utility worker or part of a cleaning crew. This would explain to a degree how he would have had access to these locations and have keys. This is highly possible, but I think the answer is quite simpler. With this, I go back to the group theory. Being that you rarely see Javier, and when you do, he is completely covered, one possibility emerges. Let me suggest that all his footage where he is in off-limit areas aren't filmed by one person. I think that the footage is filmed from people who actually work in those areas. With this in mind, it would explain how he would have all those keys and would be allowed to roam freely without being locked up for trespassing. I think he has friends who film themselves opening a store, museum, stadium, school, etc. at the start of their shift. This also perfectly explains why the police car was running already and no one cared that the person recording the video was getting into it. It is probable that the officer recording the video started his car, went outside the gate, started recording, and acting like he had just arrived there. This also explains that it was a person who worked at the pharmacy who was recording. Better yet, we never see any of their faces, so they can do things without being called out for it. Now the question does arise as to why these people would send their footage to Javier. A viewer named Barry! Actually may have had a good explanation. He suggested that this could have been utilized as a promotion to get people to visit the area. Although the previous image I showed you of Valencia, Spain during peak tourist season indicates that getting visitors isn't a problem. I do feel that it may have been produced to showcase the city's beauty without having to include all the people being around. I find it highly likely that we may see this story wind up tied to some type of advertising firm. I understand that the previous statements include a lot of theories without much proof, but as I stated in the beginning of this video, I intended to fully debunk it. So here we are at the point that is so obvious that I didn't even factor it in. I literally read the following comment and had to take a step back for a second. A viewer named Plot Hole Detective, very apropos name by the way, said the video was fake since there wasn't any future cars. I'm not sure if this comment was made in jest, but it holds a lot of weight. Granted, all the cars in the street that we see are hard to discern what exactly they are, And not to mention that even if this were 2027, it is likely that a lot of people could still be driving 6-year-old vehicles. Around here, people still drive 20 to 30-year-old vehicles. Yet, this wouldn't be the case when our friend Javier decided to visit a Mercedes-Benz dealership. As we all know, the cars inside dealerships would be the very newest model there is. Well, I tried to figure out what version of car he finally claims to have keys to, but I couldn't quite pin it down with 100% certainty. But I could find out what car it was that he first starts recording when he enters the dealership. This black car is the brand new GLE 350 that was released in 2021. Here's an image that I found of this car. It looks exactly identical. This just proves that the devil can be in the details. The final thing is that a viewer named James Smith Saudi Army states that in one of the videos you can see a bird that was missed during the editing process. Unfortunately, I don't know what clip this would be, but it is nice to know that it is out there somewhere. However, in a shot that is a blink and you miss it type of thing, a viewer named Tweedle says that you can see someone closing a door inside one of the animal enclosures. I found this footage and I had to slow it down considerably, but it does seem to show some type of activity occurring in the pen. I'm not sure if it is a door closing or someone stepping off to the right to get out of the shot. What is mysterious is that not long after this, Javier immediately starts swinging the camera away from this area. With that, I am done, and I am wiping my hands of this topic. However, I did find it funny that with this video, a few in the comment sections figured out how to properly make a time traveler video. A viewer named GhostfaceGirl180 sort of touched on this topic with what would be required to prove a person was actually a time traveler. First off, many have made the error of claiming to be from too far in the future. With this comes the obvious responsibility to make future predictions. Many of them do this and play it safe, where they say something is going to happen in 2060. While not extremely far off, it is far enough that the probability of people remembering your prediction at that time is unlikely. Although I say that, and most of us still point fingers at science for claiming we would have flying cars in the year 2000. Some of these travelers are more brazen, and make predictions that are within the same year or within a year or so. Most come forward during elections where they have a 50-50 shot of being right, although others make wild claims of alien contact or natural disasters. I give Javier credit for choosing a close date, but even that had a fatal flaw, and issues still arose. The best way to pull this scam would be to do his scheme, but claim to be from an alternate reality in 2021. This would be harder to debunk, since the things we know would be the same. Also, this prevents anyone from asking for predictions or that week's winning lottery numbers. Obviously, this still would be hard to prove, since everything can be faked anymore, including newspapers. Heck, half of their information is fake as it is. Sorry, I had to say that. Quick update. Oh god, this is becoming a thing now. I was about to record my audio, and now I see there is another channel called For 91 Days Travel Blog, where these two people claim to be lost in Valencia, Spain on April 28th, 2027. I don't know if they're making a joke video or not, but this is becoming a little insane. So as I end this, I can confidently say that this story is thoroughly debunked. At this point, outside of Javier coming out and admitting it was a hoax, I feel that there is no more information needed to prove what we already know. I also want to send a huge thank you out to all my viewers who carefully investigated a previous video and were responsible for making this upload a reality. Be on the lookout for something alien related next week. As always, remember to keep voting for which state you would like to see investigated in our Cryptid by State series. If you haven't yet done so, do please consider subscribing to my channel for more content sorta like this, but not really. Also, it would be greatly appreciated if you share my videos with someone you know who may be interested in this type of genre. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.